Almost, almost did the Blair Witch intro. Oh, not intro, just because I was feeling it in my heart of just the camera pressed against my face and saying, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Oh my God. It's insane. This is just me talking to myself. I have to really, really remind myself of that repeatedly, more emphatically. Oh, but see, there's this balance, this battle of being like, everything is myself. It's all just myself. There's only presence. There's nothing else happening here. And then feeling like that's kind of a cop-out. That's kind of a cop-out because we're all the same self. Yes, we are all the same consciousness. But we are individual. We have individuality. We're emerging from the same stream, and therefore every experience is my experience. Excuse me. But that feels like it's a place that I've gone so regularly to feel safe and secure in being alone. Because being alone feels safe to me. And being with someone, being not alone, is terrifying. And that's just the truth. So I'm having this internal struggle of perhaps endeavoring out of fear. I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel safe, of course. That's a desire, but historically, in my mind, safe equaled alone. And I'm noticing more and more that I have no precedent, no understanding of how to really ground myself. I do. I know it's there. I know it's there. I shouldn't say have no understanding, but it's become a habit to retreat to a place of solitude where I am just alone and it's all me. And I can't do that. I don't want to do that, first of all, but I actually can't anymore because I have realized that I am never alone. I've never actually been alone. I've never actually been alone. I've always had this presence, this energy of other, that felt other, that same as self, selfish, which is of the same material as myself, like myself, the reflection of, the mirror of, the match to. I've always felt that. And when I say always, I mean always. I mean my whole life. I mean, I know before this lifetime, it's always been there. I've always had this awareness that there was another with me, that I'm connected. I am in a pair. There's this self and there's this self, and they're linked together. And I have carried that energy with me, felt it with me for all of my life. And now that I have the awareness of the truth of it, this is so hard to put into words. It was easy to characterize it as just more of myself at first, but then even that didn't feel quite right. I wanted it. I was aware of a desire within me for this to be other. It's the same as myself, and yet it is not myself. It is and it isn't. And so many times I have just fallen into the arms of that energy and wrapped it around me and talked to it and laughed with it and cried with it and played with it. And I never dreamed, I did dream, that's not true. I dreamed that I would meet the fully manifested incarnate form that energy was flowing through. That energy, I want to say belonged to, but it's the form that belongs to the energy. Like this is my person in the sense of my energy has sprouted forth this form. The human that belongs to the spirit. I don't even know where I'm going with this. It's the incredible realization that I have never been alone. I never am alone. I never will be alone. There has and is always my partner here. right here. And knowing that now, I feel it, I mean, more and more powerfully, more and more clearly. Because now I have a form. I know the form that energy has taken in this incarnation. And I know that it's her that's always been here and always is. And I know that I'm always there. I've never been apart from her either. Not really. It's not possible. Again, we're linked. We are paired photons. No matter how far you separate them, one changes state and the other changes state. They are linked together. Quantum entangled. Deeply. I mean, all the way. And oh my God, that's incredible. And to the ego, it's fucking terrifying. To the mind, it's terrifying. Because there's nowhere to hide. Because there's no way to hide. You can't actually at all. You can't run. You can't hide. And of course it is the masculine energy that, well, I think typically, at least, I mean, it's not always this way, I'm sure, but it's the masculine energy that feels this need to hide, to run, to shell up, to cover in the armor, right? And feels very exposed, very vulnerable. And I don't mean that I'm the only one that experiences this. I don't mean only the divine masculine in a connection experiences this necessarily. It's masculine energy within. That's the ego, that's the mind. But oh my God, it's like my rib cage is just open. And everything is there. And there's nothing I can do about it. I cannot hide it. I can't hide anything. I knew this would be the most incredible gift, the most precious gift that I could ever ask for and receive from myself, from self, and the most terrifying and intense spiritual practice, presenting just the greatest challenge to ego in terms of absolute vulnerability, absolute, actual, complete vulnerability. Everything on the table, and not just once, but again and again and again, continuously, continuous exposure. Because it's one thing to just like flash somebody. It's what it feels like to be like, woo, here's all of me. And that's almost a little bit what this is, because it's contained in these videos, and there is that distance, that separation there, where I can be like, I'm just talking to myself, this is all just myself, and that's true, but also it's not. This world is crazy. I feel crazy. That's not unusual. That's all of the time now. But there is this sort of safe distance here. I got shit in my eye. And I don't edit these videos. I want for them to be stream of consciousness, unedited, raw, as authentic as possible. But there's nothing like the real thing. There's nothing like being in person, in actual direct shared presence with someone, and having that live feedback. Because here I can, guess what? I can run away from that. I can just not look. I can just not read comments. I can just, blind myself intentionally to any of that, which has happened. I can just really say I don't care and kind of go la 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 la. Because if I really didn't care, I could read everything and I wouldn't be afraid, right? So there's a part of ego that absolutely cares. There's a part of ego that absolutely cares. And I have integrated that as a part of my practice. But it's a balance too of, how much do I read comments and notice what arises within me, what gets triggered within me, what is my reaction, and at what point do I go, you know what, this is taking a lot of time and energy, and I just don't feel like doing that. And so then set that sort of boundary for myself of not caring. It's a balance. There's no right or wrong. There's no one answer. But there's no way to do that here. There's no way to do that when you are in constant contact with someone, even when you are physically, as it would appear, alone. I'm not alone. I'm not alone right now. She's right here. Always has been. And so that becomes, it's the next level. It is the next level of practice of how do you really be your true, authentic, vulnerable self, totally your natural self, when you are observed. Because it's one thing to be like, I'm not observed. There are no people. There are no people. There's just presence. Nobody's watching me. But I was leaving out the fact that presence is present, and watching and observing and loving, never judging, loving the whole time. And now to maintain that awareness, when that presence is flowing through this form, that contains the soul that I adore, that I just absolutely, I mean, I don't think there's a better word for it. I love this soul completely. And so it's terrifying. It feels just terrifying to be completely on display. And it's not in a performative sense, to just be so visible, to be so seen, to be completely seen. And, it's equal parts delicious, everything that I want. It's everything that my soul wants. It is everything that what I truly am desires, is to be seen that way, to be seen as soul. And when I can tap into that place immediately right here of knowing I am loved. I am so well and worthy and appreciated and abundant in my being and all of these things. And I know that that's reflected. I know that that is what is seen. And that's what I see. That's what I see. I see this being that has no flaw. That everything which it is and emanates forth from it is perfection. It's beautiful. And having that laser beam of love reflected back to me, the one which I project doesn't feel like the right word. The one which emanates forth from me. Whew. It just triggers. It triggers so much in ego. The soul is bathing in it. That's everything that it does. That's everything that it knows. It's like, yes, I am pure, loving light. This is what I emanate. This is what I receive. Give it to me. Give it to me. And then ego's like, so bright, so scary. All of my things. You're gonna see all of my things. All of them. All of the time. Like, there's no way I can hide. It's that sense of realizing nakedness. Oh my God. Realizing, oh my God, I'm vulnerable. I'm exposed to you 24/7. All of the time, I am exposed to you. All of my parts. And suddenly, ego being triggered and going, oh no. But there are parts that scare me. There are parts that I don't understand. There are parts that I maybe haven't seen even before, that I'm not aware of. And you might see those and I have no idea. And oh my God, I get it. The whole The whole Adam and Eve thing, even though Eve wasn't Adam's first wife. Separate story. Separate story. Because it is, yeah, it really is the masculine element. That energy. Eve was made from Adam. Eve was actually made from the masculine. Not true feminine energy. Lilith was the true feminine energy. And she didn't give a fuck. She didn't give a fuck. Adam gave all the fucks. And she was like, you know what? I'm a peace out. You deal with your shit, basically. Oh, wow. The seizing. The seizing of ego. Yeah. But what it really wants is that. What it really wants is to be totally vulnerable and exposed and naked, to live in nakedness. That's what it means to be in continuous exposure, in continuous vulnerability. Nothing is hidden. I can't hide anything from you. I am naked. It's all hanging out all the time. All the time. And so if there's ever a moment of shame, judgment, it is intensified by the nakedness, by its on display. The spotlight is on all of the time. And ego does not like to be seen because it has this shame of itself in its nakedness, in its raw natural form, because it judges itself. Oh. And so here I am with ego on 24/7 display now, because it's got light from both sides, right? There's my laser beam, there's her laser beam, and there's ego in the middle going, oh, I can't get away. I can't get away. There's nothing I can do. I am exposed. God, what a strange and wonderful thing. I had been noticing that the more comfortable and confident and vulnerable in myself that I feel, the more it triggers this uprising in ego of insecurity. The more secure I feel, the more it upsets ego. And the less secure it feels. Yeah. The more I am my authentic self and have everything just on display, the more powerfully it triggers this other sense of self. It feels more and more diminished, in essence. Yeah. The bigger I feel, the smaller ego feels. And the smaller it feels, the more threatened it feels. It feels like the walls are closing in on it. Again, that trapped sensation for ego of there's nowhere to go, and it creates panic, and it wants to run, and it wants to hide. And it can't, and the loop continues. I don't know that I have any more words. This is, and that is a wonderful thing. That is a key feature of this as well. The lack of words, the lack of thought, being in the presence, the full presence, the fully manifested presence of this energy, even though I can tap into that completely right now. Like, I can see her. I can feel her. I've always felt her. I don't even know where I was going with that. That's it. I lost my train of thought. It shuts down thought. It just, the mind, it has one of two effects, because naturally it shuts down thought and I become very present, which is what I want, which is my authentic self expressing. It's just being, is purely being incredibly present, being very here, very now, very real. That is what I desire. That's the natural expression of my being, is being. And so the thought just goes away. Or it triggers, sometimes it like short circuits the brain and nothing happens, and that's great. And sometimes it triggers this sort of like other fail-safe switch where the brain shoots online and it's all the warning lights are flashing and it's going, oh my god, what happened? We weren't here, we weren't in control, we weren't thinking anything, we don't have any thoughts, we don't have anything to say, we don't have any words, what's happening? And it goes into overdrive. And it's like it siphons all of the energy up out of my body and into the headspace and a little bit outside of it, actually. Just all of this kind of floaty mess. And it feels like panic and terror and kind of being frozen. It's that frozen feeling, deer in the headlights feeling. And then it's everything I can do to just breathe and gently try to bring that energy back down into my body, which means embracing the panic, embracing the sensations that are there. So it's this incredibly interesting mix of being so completely comfortable, never more comfortable in the presence of someone, more comfortable in general, feeling totally at home. Just like, this is where I live, this is where I get naked. This is where I'm naked and I just sprawl out in the sunshine, infinitely here, in this eternal now that is perfect and beautiful, and we just lie here together in the glory, basking in it. The glory of each other, the glory of love, the glory of all that is. And then it's like this cloud. It's more than a cloud. It's like the storm blows in, everything descends. Suddenly there's a hurricane, and it's sheer panic. It's sheer terror. It's such a dichotomy. It is two radical extremes. And it feels so very scary to be in that other place. And then of course when I'm in the dark, stormy, separate feeling place, because it feels very disconnected, and then that is a sensation that so much of me is like, I don't like this. I like the connection. I like that. This doesn't feel nice. But again, I know all of that is in the mind. All of that is in the mind. The soul is never budging. The soul is stable. The soul never leaves that beautiful pasture. It never departs from there. It's only ever an illusion. It's where the mind goes, and then the mind convinces the rest of me that I'm it, and that we are in some other place that's separate. There is never a separation. There is never a disconnection. That never actually happens. It's only ever a loss of sight of it. And I described it like this before. It feels like pressing on a nerve and you've lost sensation because that nerve is compressed. But it's still connected. Your nerve is still connected. You're never not actually able to feel. It's just something has happened that has put pressure. There's a triggering that's put pressure on this spot, and it's creating the sensation, the illusion, the perception of disconnection, of separation. And the more intense that feels, the more it sort of feeds itself. It creates a ball of panic. It all starts to tumble downhill. And it takes a lot of presence and consciousness to realize it's not gone. It's never gone. All it ever takes is lifting your hands off of the pressure point there, and all of it returns. The full sensation is restored. Circulation comes back. Because it never stopped. It was never gone. And I believe, and I'm learning how to lean into the sensation of disconnection, to embrace that as sensation. If it feels like a lack of connection, just feel that completely. Let that be the portal to feeling, not thinking, because everything wants to then rise up into the mind to go think about it, to think about how we can't feel. And of course, when you're thinking, that's the finger on the nerve of feeling. Thinking is covering up feeling. So the way that I get back into feeling is by really feeling whatever I think is there. If the thought is it's not there, then I'm gonna feel, and it hurts, but I'm gonna feel what it feels like to follow this perception of not there. I'm gonna feel the panic. Instead of staying in the place that's generating it, I'm just gonna go into the panic, into the discomfort, the intense discomfort, that feeling of just like scrambling in the dark. I think I described it before as rats in a box, crawling over each other, gnawing on each other, gnawing on the walls, gnawing on everything, clawing everything. It's desperation. It's desperate. It is the feeling of running for your life, of being in a box and suffocating. That is the level of fear that is generated there. And yes, I went there. So now I'm inviting that sensation and acknowledging that it is sensation. And I have in my awareness that this is never gone. This connection is never lost. And see, here's the other interesting part of it too, is, right, ego wants to run from it, but the second it runs from it, it wants to get back. The second that it gets away, it goes, oh, this is terrible. I want to get back. What have I done? And so again, that ping-ponging effect of something triggers it, it gets scared, it flees, and then it feels lost. The moment it flees, it feels lost because it's fled from the light, and now it's in the dark, and it's going, oh, all I want is to get back into the light. And so all of this I could see is teaching ego how much it wants to be there. Again, teaching ego, this is what you want. What you want is to stay naked in the sun. This actually is what you want. You want the full exposure. You want total vulnerability. You want that all of the time. That is what you want. And it sees it more and more. Every time it departs from it, it goes, oh my God, yeah. Clearly, that is mine. It clarifies desire. The contrast gives clarity. Every time ego in the mind departs from presence, this shared presence, because it is always and has always and will always be a shared presence. It's never solitary presence. It's always shared. This is true. This is true for all of us. We are all paired. We are all paired photons, in essence. And we have other pairs, but there's one. There's one that we're born with, that we come into existence with. That is, we have these different types of, different levels of connection to other photons in the field around us. But there's just the one that is, that we were born with, that we were made with, created with, simultaneously. It was always two together. And you were never apart from that one. You're never not in connection with that one. That is a connection that's a cord that can't be severed. If you've ever done cord cutting, that cord can't be cut. It's not cut because it's not a karmic tie. It is a soul tie. It's a heart tie. It's essential. It's a part of you. It's pure love. This went on for longer than I anticipated, but yeah, it needed to come out. So the more that ego departs, that the mind convinces me to pull away from presence, the more powerfully I become aware of my desire, the more that desire intensifies, and the more clearly I see it, that desire to remain in presence, to remain in this place, in this state of complete connection, which means full visibility. Full visibility all of the time. Vulnerable, exposed, naked. Everything seen. Can't be looked away from. That's what I want. That is what I want. I know by, even when there's fear there, that pushes me into the other place of experiencing, again, the perception of other, because it's never gone. This is the truth. This is the truth of what is. This doesn't change. This is base reality. This is the stable version that always is. There's only ever the illusion of other and projecting into that place. But I know the more I project into that place, the worse it feels, the more it clarifies not only that this is the truth, but that this is the desire. This is what I want. This fucking sucks. This hurts. For all of the fear and the panic that pushed me out of my body, that led me to flee. For all of that over here, there is only more panic, only more fear. And all I want, and I'm grateful for the experience. I can see how it serves itself. All I want is to get back into this place, to realize this place, the reality of this again, to realize this is never lost. This is home. This is where I am. This is where I live. This is where I stay. This is everything. And as scared as ego feels, I want it to. I want that. I want to be here. I am not going to let fear stop me from what I want. Fear is not guidance. It's not a part of my guidance system. It's not telling me anything other than ego is perceiving a threat that is an illusion, a threat that doesn't exist. This is always what I want. And what I want always. And so it is. Because I desire it, it is. Again, it's pointing to the reality of itself. It's pointing to the truth of itself, that this is what is always. What I want, this connection, living in this place, abiding, dwelling in this place, here, with my beloved, lover and beloved, in one, in shared presence. That is my truest desire, and it is the truest truth. It is eternally unchanging. It never changes. It's always this. And that boggles the mind. That terrifies ego. But it makes the heart swell. And just sing in delight. Singing this infinite chorus of love. And everything is a symphony. Everything is resonating with this truth of joy and bliss and rapture. Just this, you, us, we, our, all of it together, here, now. And it's never not now, and it's never not here. So it's always. And we get this. We get this. We get all more and more of this. It's just more of this. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Says the soul. Says the self. What an incredible experience. What an incredible journey. All of this is. And the journey has just begun. I mean, it was a journey to this place, this precipice, but that's the thing. There's no end to this journey. The journey of being. It just goes on and on. And what a wonderful thing that is. That is the desire. Even when the fear covers it up, it only pushes me to realize this is what I want. I want this to go on. I want eternity. I want infinity of this. This is the true. And this is the true desire. And it teaches me more and more how to step back into this place of my knowing, of my being, feeling, knowing directly by the experience of myself, knowing the content of my heart by the feeling of it, the feeling into it, not the thinking about it, because there's no truth there. There is no truth in thinking. There's no truth in the brain. It's all fucking illusion. And what an amazing thing that is. Because of the illusion, I have only more clarity about the truth of what is. My perception in becoming occluded only clarifies yet more powerfully. It is the adding of a substance to something and putting it in the crucible, heating it up, mixing it up in order to purify it more and more, to distill it more and more. It's a repetition of that process. I only become more distilled in it, more purely myself. It's an incredible fucking thing. Right, well, I talked for a lot longer than I anticipated. No surprise there. So perhaps I will go try to meditate and just let myself be, just be as I am in whatever form or fashion, whatever state, whatever expression, knowing that it's right. And trusting that it is perceived that way. Not just by me alone, but me shared. Yeah. This is the expression. Thank you for your witness. Truly. If you are one who has witnessed, I witness you. In all of your endless, messy glory. All of it. All of it is divine. It is so easy to cast that light, to shine that light, to see that when viewing other. It's one thing, too. It's not so hard to cast it upon the self alone, but to have it cast upon you when it's your own spotlight and you're shining it and you're directing it and you're seeing the perfection of all. But to have the spotlight that you are not directing, it's not your direct emanation, it's coming at you. And to have that love showered upon you and that clear perception of your being and its flawlessness, that's where ego really rises up. That's where the turmoil happens. And goes, no, I'm not enough. I'm not where I can't possibly be. How could you possibly think that? I mean, I think that, but I'm me, right? How could you possibly? Oh, what a tangled web we weave. But I am opening more and more to the reception of that, to the trust of that, a belief in that. That I am loved, not just loving. I am loved. I am seen to be worthy. Not just that I am worthy, I am witnessed in it. I am seen. My worthiness, my eternal radical worthiness and deserving is seen. And that my pure being is appreciated for being exactly as it is. That it is perceived as having not a single flaw. That it is seen as perfect in all its expression and emanation. Because that is the way that I see. And I know if I see that way, not only are others capable of it, but most especially the other of me is capable of it. That is my equivalent energy. That is my same energy. Selfish, again, exactly like me. Me, but not me. Oh. Okay. It just keeps coming in waves. It just keeps coming. The faith and the fear, the joy and the panic, just, and all the while the mind just going, this is crazy, what? It's just in the background pacing, going, I don't understand, I don't get it. It's not gonna get it. It's beyond the mind. It's beyond comprehension. That's what love is. It transcends all of this gobbledygook. It's magic. All right. Getting out of here. Thank you for your witness. Have a beautiful day. I love you.